Hello, and welcome to this very episode of Immigration Yarns. Welcome. Okay, without wasting too much, give me 1 minute. I just want to be able to see my Instagram viewers clearly. 1 second there. Okay. Yes, so I can see chats from Instagram. Okay, let's delve into this. So, breaking news, right? Yesterday, no, maybe not yesterday. Okay, so the Canadian government has changed once again, the rules surrounding study permits. Once again, the rules have changed. Give me 1 second, please. I'm just going to tell my followers that I am live so that all the people who need to join us can join us. This is a very interesting and hot topic. So please give me 1 minute. We are live. Yeah. Okay, let's go into it. So, the Canadian government once again has changed the rules surrounding study permits. Okay, so depending on how you look at it, I like to say there's the good side of this news and then there's the bad side of the news, right? It has both the good and the bad side. So, first of all, what is the rule and what does it mean? The rule says that for the next 2 years, there's going to be a cap on the number of international students that can come into Canada to study. That's what the rule says. But it does have a little bit of caveats though. First of all, it is for the next 2 years, which means by end of 2025, there's going to be a review to see if this rule is actually working or not. Then you want to ask yourself why. Why did they just wake up one day and say, okay, you know what? We don't want a lot of people anymore? Because it's been discovered that a lot of schools are using this as an opportunity to bring in a lot of international students without having adequate preparation for them. So if you look at it in a sense, it's actually a way to protect the students so that you don't come in and then you're stranded. You don't have enough facility for you to actually be able to learn, right? That is why this rule exists. Okay, so I'm just going to run through some of the points that I have. First of all is that it was discovered that some of the schools were using it as an opportunity to drive up their own revenue without really a care for the students. So now IRCC will determine how many international students each province can have and the territories. So for the province and the territories, they're going to decide how many international students they can have. And it is effective immediately. So effective January 22, which was yesterday, you cannot submit a study application without a letter of attestation from your province or the territory that you want to go to, which I find really interesting because the provinces, first of all, don't know what their quota will be yet. And second of all, they have no idea yet what the rules of granting that attestation will be. So, which kind of means that right now, all study permits, well, with a few exceptions, and I'll get to the exceptions very soon, all study permits are on pause. So just before that agent tells you, I'm going to process your study permit for you and it will be out in 6 weeks, you need to know the rules. Right now, nobody can submit a study permit without attestation. And the attestation, the rules surrounding attestation letter from the provinces and the territories is not ready yet. And as far as the IRCC website goes, maybe sometime by March, they will have that figured out. Of course, it can change tomorrow. The news can be out. And of course, this is a developing story. So we'll bring you updates as it comes out. But right now, nobody knows the rules yet. Nobody knows what the criteria for the attestation will be. So please, just before somebody tells you, oh, I can get you that, please and please be very careful. Okay, that being said, what are the rules to the exception? There are 3 categories that have rules to the exception. First is that you're a minor. Minor being you're less than 18 years old and you want to come to Canada to study. So maybe your parents have a work permit and you're still in school, or you have a child, because I'm guessing that there's a level of the children that I cannot talk to right now. Or maybe you're a parent and you have a work permit and you need to come to Canada, you need to apply for study permit for your children. This does not affect them. So if your child is a minor and you need to apply for study permit, that means that maybe they're in secondary, high school, the secondary category, and the preschool, the elementary category, it does not affect them. That's category 1. Category 2 is anybody who is studying a master's degree, a PhD, or a postgraduate program. So if you're applying for a master's, or you're applying for a PhD, or you're applying for a postgraduate program, you are exempted from this rule. The capping does not affect you. Well, maybe the capping eventually will, but you do not need a letter of attestation. Those people get a priority. They do not need a letter of attestation. Category 3 is you are already studying and you need to apply for a study permit extension, or you need to renew your study permit, or you need to apply for an extension. So maybe you're already studying a course and then you need to change into another course. You do not need a letter of attestation. So you can just go ahead and apply for your study permit. Apart from these 3, you're applying to a college or you're applying to an undergraduate degree, you need to have a letter of attestation. Okay. So next, I'm going to move on to okay, I already mentioned that it's for 2 years. So this will be reviewed by the end of 2025, to see how this new rule is going, how it is affecting everybody, and if it's working and how they can improve on it. Okay, so and I did remember that when I started, I said that it's not all bad news. There's some bit of good news to it. So let me bring you the good news that goes with it. Is that for international students now, okay, sorry, before I go to the good news, there's one last tiny bit of not so good news. If you're applying to a school that is an affiliate, like all those schools that issue certificates on behalf of another school, they call them curriculum licensing arrangements. So if you're applying to a school that has curriculum licensing arrangements from another school, you will no longer be eligible for post-study work permits. Gang, 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 gang. So just before you apply to that school, just before you pay money, just before you commit to it, please verify that they do not have a curriculum arrangement, that they are actually accredited to be able to issue that certificate, not that the certificate is going to be issued on behalf of another school, because otherwise you are not eligible for a post-study work permit. So please do your due diligence. Check. Of course, I don't even have to say, make sure they are a DLI to start with, Designated Learning Institute. Check, do your check. Make sure you're checking everything. Cross your T's, dot your I's. Another thing I would like to say on this admission thing is, now IRCC checks, like when you submit your application, they will now be checking that the school actually issued that letter. So that letter of admission that you get, it is first conditional, and then when you pay the deposit, then you have the what do they call it? Sorry, I'm looking for the English word. Like your when you have your letter of acceptance, is first conditional, then you pay your what's it called? Your deposit, and then you have full admission, even though you've not paid your school fees, then you can take that document to go apply for your study permit. Right now, IRCC is saying we don't just want a letter from you. First of all, of course, you know that conditional acceptance of offer is not acceptable. It's not an acceptable document for IRCC. So it's not enough that you have the full admission letter or full offer letter. IRCC is now going to be checking with the school. So if you're working with an agent who's processing your admission for you, please clarify, be sure that the admission is, and again, sometimes when we talk like this, when we say things, it almost sounds like, oh, what are you saying? Am I going to get an admission that is not genuine before? But things are happening, stories have touched the heart before, different things have gone wrong. So please, please, please just clarify that you have authentic documentation before you go apply that. So I'm going to come to the good news. Post study for master's program is effective September 2024. You can be sure that you're going to get residency. Another thing, slight change again, that is happening is that open work permit will only right now only be available. So you know that my husband is studying. Let's go and marry so that we can travel abroad together and you can study and I can have a work permit. It's not working anymore. So open work permits will only be available to spouses of the people who are studying for master's or doctoral programs. Master's or doctoral programs. So you, because my spouse is studying an undergrad, is if it's not a master's and it's not a doctoral program, they will not be eligible for post-study work permit. Right? Right. So international students, including undergraduate college programs, will not be eligible for post-study work permit. I believe I already said that. Yeah. So I think that's about it. I wanted to quickly review again the criteria for applying. I mean, just in case you're probably hearing this for the first time, the things you need to know as you're applying for your post-study work permit. First of all, is that institution has to be a DLI, designated learning institute. And like I now mentioned, it has to be a DLI that is not running a curriculum arrangement with the original accredited institution. They have to be accredited to issue that certificate. They have to be accredited to teach that course by themselves. Otherwise, you cannot even apply. You don't qualify. Okay. The second thing is that you have to have your tuition. And I'm just going to say this free of charge. One of the things that we're finding recently is, I mean, I'm not saying, but it doesn't hurt to be careful, right? One of the things, a lot of rejection based on the fact that people don't have their money in their own accounts, they have it in other people's accounts, and then the person writes a letter to say, oh yeah, I'm going to sponsor them. Guys, go put the money in your account. Do whatever it is you have to do, but make sure that money is sitting in your account in your name before you apply for that study permit. Okay. Of course, you have to have living expenses, and you know that recently Canada revealed how much students have to have before they can come in. Right? Let me just quickly run you through that. Give me one second. Let me bring it up. Let me bring it up. Let me bring it up. See, I bring you good news and juicy information, right? So, as one person, now you have to have 20,635 Canadian dollars. Canadian dollars. Not USD, not pounds, Canadian dollars as one person. If you are one person with a spouse or with a child or with just you and one other person, then you need 25,690 Canadian dollars. 3 people in your family, maybe you, your husband, and 1 child, or you, 2 children, or whoever is coming with you, as long as you are 3 of you eligible to travel, you need 31,583 Canadian dollars. 4 people is $38,346. 5 people is $43,492, and on it goes. Again, you can go to CIC's Canada's website, canada.ca. Go there, find all the extra information that you need. Research, know what you're doing. Don't let any agent tell you anything that is not true. Go double check, even if you don't want to do your application by yourself, but double check, cross check, have the information, know what the expectations are, so that you don't run into trouble. Your money is not being wasted when you're doing that application, right? And then of course you have to have criminal records, that you're not a criminal, medical reports that you're free. And you, this one, I always say it every time I do video about applying for study permit. I say it all the time. You have to be able to prove to the visa officer that you will leave Canada when you are done with your studies. You know that you want to stay, they know that there's a room for you to stay, but they need to know this. The rules of the visa says that you need to show that you will leave Canada when you're done with your study. And the responsibility is on you to convince your visa officer that you will leave. That one is free of charge. Okay. I have come to the end of this video for today's session. I had a different topic I wanted to talk to you guys today, but as per Canada gave us, I don't want to say it's handicap, but as per they, turn the tides on us, and this is like something that is very new. I decided to go this route today. Next week, we're going to be talking about something else. I think maybe we will. I want to review cities in Canada. Like, okay, what are the most expensive cities? What makes them expensive, or the most affordable kind of thing, right? So that when you're deciding where to go, you have an idea. Okay, if I go here, I know I'm going to be spending a lot of money. That kind of thing. We can look into that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I hope I have been able to bring you some bit of information, help, something that helps your journey to be easier and to be faster and to be stressless, a little more stressless, because it's always stressful, I know. But yeah, that will be all for today, and I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to turn on your notifications so that when we go live, you get to see that we're live and you can participate, you can contribute. If you have questions, please send us your questions. We will be sure to answer them gladly. I mean, if I have to record an extra video to answer a question for you, I will gladly do that. But please, please, please subscribe to our channels. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. We always bring current news so that you stay abreast of what's going on in Canada. And that will be all for today. And at this junction, oh, gladness, you're very, very, very welcome. I really, really hope this has been very helpful for you or somebody. Share the video, send it to somebody who might need it, somebody who's planning to apply, somebody who needs to hear what is currently going on. And I will see you guys next week. Bye for now.